All right, we are live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes Podcast, Week 5 edition. I am your host, Chris Kirkwood, screen name Kirk D's, here with my drunk pal, JSU, who's been drinking Nooners on the golf course all day. JSU Rab from Run Pure Sports, big entrepreneur, multimillionaire. Guy wins 100K every week, it seems like, in the DFS space. But what's going on? Also, Bobby Gomes is joining us already. I see a cocktail in his hand. So this is the Friday happy hour show this week. So what's going on, fellas?
I mean, not much. I can't lie to the people. I played 18 today. It was a great day. It was beautiful outside, and there were some drinks flowing. You know, what can you do? So we keep it going on this show. We keep it going, and we'll try and pick some winners for the people.
Pretty much JSU's hammered. So we're ready to go. We all got our happy hour drinks. I think JSU has a Nooner. Kirky has a White Claw, and I have a Bud Light Seltzer, which I don't know. I feel like it's a step down from the other two, but we're just trying to make it work and ready to hit this Week 5 slate, right, Kirky?
There's a variety, right, Bob? We got a variety of drinks.
Yeah, we give a lot of different stuff, you know?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm coming off the week from hell. Yes, my this parenting stuff is just getting crazier and crazier every day. My kid wouldn't shut up. Literally was just crying all day. I mean, it couldn't stop him. Didn't sleep. Really toughest day we've ever had yet. Not only that, because of that was going on, I got stuck with 150 lineups. I didn't get the edit and I missed it by like a second. And not only that, it was all locked with Hines. So, and then he goes down with the first play. So I was like, just bury me. And then I do want to say one little nice thing, though, that shout out to whoever that idiot out there who bought my Matt Ryan legendary Rainmaker a couple weeks ago. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. What a game that was last night, huh?
I mean, if you're buying Matt Ryan anything, cards, whatever, I mean, it's an issue. He's dust. I mean, he's done. Just stick a fork in him. Let Bobby, who's their backup? You were talking
Nick
about
Foles, Big Dick
Nick Foles. I mean, let Big Dick Nick just get in there and give it a shot because Matt Ryan is not it. The guy's got no arm.
How did he get
Well, he can't deal with
10-yard outs, and it looks like he's putting everything he has into it. It's tough to watch.
Brady looks better under pressure than he does. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, but Brady's getting his full complement back this week.
Well, no,
right?
but no, I'm saying no. Brady gets rid, but Brady's never under pressure because he gets rid of it. But when he is under pressure, he looks absolutely terrible. But he actually looks better than Matt Ryan does.
Also, too, how bad is that offensive line right now? The Broncos were consistently rushing 4 and 5 and getting pressure on Matt Ryan just consistently on every down. It felt like they were just. If they weren't sacking him, they were right in there, getting him pressure, making him hurry up, hitting him after, the ball was just released. Like they were just all over him. And there was nothing they could do. Like they just weren't, the offensive linemen were getting killed. At some point, it's like Matt Ryan's bad, but like that offensive line is terrible and doesn't help when your quarterback gets no help from his offensive line.
Can we just stop getting sacked out of field goal range? Like he did it 3 times last night, or like 4 times, Matt Ryan. Just the word. How do you keep him in the game? Like you can't take those sacks there, regardless of the offensive line.
I mean, there were a lot of things that some of the quarterbacks in that game should not have done. And Matt Ryan, even though he took some sacks in bad spots, Bobby, he actually still somehow won the game. And there's another quarterback who lost the game and did some really bad things, worse than taking sacks. I mean, Russell Wilson, seriously, Russell Wilson should have got hooked in that game. He was that bad. Both quarterbacks should have been hooked. They were that bad. But Russell Wilson was so friggin' bad in that game. It's not even funny. That back foot interception he had where he just lobbed it up. I think it was to KJ Hamler, but it wasn't even close to KJ Hamler. And the safety just caught it in a basket and then ran with it. Like it was one of the worst decisions ever. And on top of not running it on 3rd and 4 when there was 2.5 minutes left and they could have just kicked the field goal if they didn't get the first down and they would have been up 6 and they would have won the game because no one scored a touchdown the whole friggin' game. and the Colts wouldn't have scored a touchdown on that drive to finish out. Like, it was just so many bad mistakes from not just Russell, but the head coach. I mean, Hackett should have been fired right after the game. It was just awful. The fans left. It was a close game. The game went into overtime. The fans were leaving. Like,
All
how
right,
many times
JSU,
that?
settle down. We've spent 5 minutes now on the tight. I mean, on the
I can't help myself.
Broncos.
I haven't even.
Colts.
I haven't gotten to talk about this.
Anyways, so last week was kind of, so I'm struggling with like trying to balance, like get my lineups ready, all this stuff. So football, I ended up breaking even, luckily, but I smashed UFC that night. I told you guys I put a lot of work in. I gave everybody that winner, that Mike Davis winner. I hope you guys tailed people on the pod. I'll tell you, I'm going to, next week, I'll have more plays for you. And in 2 weeks, I'll have some monster plays for you. So keep listening, and we're going to print some money in UFC. I think it's the one beatable sports betting. You know, I think it's actually beatable, but we'll see. Well, that's debatable. Anyways, how'd you guys do last week in the NFL streets?
Yeah, I had a good week. For me, I didn't play Hawkinson and Jamal Williams and got a little bit more than my money back because I had like 70% penny and was full in on the Chargers like we talked about. So, yeah, I had a good week. How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I had a lot of penny, which kind of saved me because I didn't have really any Hawkinson, which kind of stunk. Jamal Williams, I had a ton of too. So, yeah, I pretty much like broke even around there, but it wasn't as big. My guy Hoop hit the millie, so shout out to my guy Hoop, who crushed it and obviously shipped it. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. We were told in the comment section, someone was talking about Pickens. We gave out Pickens on the show. I mean, he was 3,800. I got a question for you guys. If I give out a dude who's 2.5% owned in the Millie Maker, is that a sneaky play?
It's a sneaky play if he breaks 40. Like, what do you mean? Like
is that a play like everyone's on, Bob?
I don't think it's as important of like giving someone that no one knows as much as it is like giving.
No, that's not my question. The comment in our comment section was he's not a sneaky play. Like everyone knows he's Mitch's favorite target. Yeah, like if a dude is 2.5% owned, then he's a good tournament play and no one's on him. Like that's the point. That was my point. Like you can't do better than 2.5% owned at 3,800 and the guy puts up 19. Like you can't do better than that when you're calling out ownership on a Friday night. Like there's only so much we can do. Now, the opposite point, Josh Jacobs. Anyone play Josh Jacobs here?
Yeah, so I had him in cash on Yahoo, but I specifically changed my tournament exposure to no Jacobs, and I was doing great until I wasn't because of that. So I ended up breaking even.
Were you scared of the projected ownership too? Because I was.
I just thought Jacobs at that ownership was the stupidest play I've ever seen. I
feel like everyone had like the same like thought process on Jacobs, and then he came in
like
how does
he come in?
And Hoop ends up 5x the field.
How do they always smash in that spot?
But how does he come in at 6%? Did everyone just have this thought process of like,
It
I'm not
seems
going
like
to fade Jamal, I'm going to fade, Josh Jacobs? Like that had to have happened, right?
I think it has to do with the fact that everyone has like the same idea of what Josh Jacobs is, and like when he hits that breakout game, even though all the numbers said this is pretty much every optimal is spitting out Jacobs, regardless what projections he ran, and then like everyone, the sharper players didn't want to play him, and the regulars just didn't feel like they wanted to play him either. So that's what ended up happening.
All right. Well, we're going to say one last thing about the comment section, and then we're going to snuff that, and we're going to keep it moving on to the week. We're just going to say, we got a comment here that said Kirkwood is awesome. These others are garbage. So let's just take that.
We don't really have to address it. Do we have to address that?
No, we don't have to address it. We're moving on. Just wanted to say
move on.
That was sad. That was sad.
Oh,
at least
I could address it if we
Stop
want to
it.
address
Stop
it.
it. Stop it.
No,
all right.
no.
So week 5, we got 12 games. This slate is kind of gross, right? We've got no big total games, no 50-point totals. We do have a decent game, at least it looks like on paper, with the Eagles -5 in Arizona. the thing that's nice about this, the Eagles are operating on a level we didn't really expect them to that this early in the season. They're looking great. They've got all the weapons, and Arizona's been awful, but they're getting healthier, right? Like he's starting to have a little bit, at least Rondale Moore is there now, which kind of helps this offense. So this game could be good with a 48.5 point total. We got the Chargers minus 2.5 heading to Cleveland, 47.5 point total. We got Atlanta on the road to Tampa, who's 10 points. Is that right? Is it in Tampa, that game? I didn't double check. I think it is, right?
It's in Tampa.
Yeah, it's in Tampa.
Tampa minus 10 at home, 46.5 point total. Then there's Pitt at Buffalo minus 14, 46, but at least we do have Josh Allen on the slate. And then, there's another 46 point total with Seattle at New Orleans. And then there's just a bunch of games. Interesting thing here is we don't have Lamar. We don't have Mahomes. And not only that, what does that say about tight end? We don't have Kelsey. We don't have Andrews, right? Slimmer pickings at quarterback than usual. We still have Hurts. We still have Josh Allen, but that it's going to be interesting to hear your takes on with Josh Allen being a 14-point favorite, in a game that they should be able to mop up against Pitt. So we'll see there, and then I don't know what kind of stand. It just kind of seems gross. We got injury news that's still out there. That we still have the Tyreek and Waddle situation is kind of big, right, against the Jets. There's some other stuff that we're still waiting on. We did get word that Andy Dalton is going to be a quarterback. I wonder if he's going to get much play. But how's the slate look to you overall, Bobby?
Yeah, so for me, as of right now, I feel like just what's kind of been trending over these first 4 weeks. We're in the 5th week now. These game stacks have hit. They hit week 2. They hit last week. In both weeks, we only really had one game at a 50-point total. And on this slate, pretty much we don't have any games at a 50-point total. Pretty positive. Everything's 48.5. So I think a lot of people are going to go to game stacks on a slate where it's really not as necessary based on just how games are broken down. And that's pretty much one of the things that's really standing out. I feel like a lot of people are going to try to jam game stacks. And it's like an anomaly almost to get that to happen 2 times in the first 4 weeks. So,
Does that make you a little bit perturbed?
It makes me a little bit perturbed that I can't find a quality game stack. Yes. I think. Okay, can we talk about Hoops Millie last week? I think one thing that he did was super sharp. And I was looking into this. Was he didn't move when everyone moved off that Detroit in just in terms of a game stack situation. When everyone moved off those 4 games, that Detroit total will never move. So he was fine with playing all that chalk, and then. Just that game stack ends up going on. I thought it was a super sharp play. And I think you can make a case if we were talking about game stacks, why in a situation like that where the line moves drastically everywhere else. And I don't know. I feel like it's more for a review show, but I thought it was very interesting what he did.
I'd be interested to hear. So is he using Sabre? You guys know?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's using Sabre. That's what he uses.
It's depending on which optimizer you use. It's hard. You gotta plan. Pretty meticulously how to get the bigger game stacks in there with the ones that you don't want as many of. And just curious which he uses. I would love. The haters just need to shut up. Hoop has been a boss forever in this industry. The dude's sitting with he'll sit for any amount of a head-to-head versus anybody, right? He's been there forever, and the haters just still talk. And every time
he totally dunked on someone. I don't want to bring up.
Every time the haters say something, it's you guys win another million. Somebody else wins another million. So it's everyone just needs to shut up so we could win.
I just don't know why people don't. I don't know why people hate on other touts that actually put their money where their mouth is.
What about other processes?
Hate on people that don't put their money where their mouth is. Actually, don't put their money behind their play.
Don't even play. These guys don't even play.
And then there's the whole thing. And then there's Team Nerd versus team, and Team Nerd / I don't watch any games, and that makes me so cool because
That's like the worst
I don't
take
even
of
know
all
names
time.
of players. It's like, shut up against people who actually watch sports. There's a nuance there. So yes, projections, nerds, smarts, intelligence, process, that all is very important. But so when you combine that with like good intuition because you actually follow sports and know sports inside and out, that's where that's the peak, in my opinion, personally. I think there's edge for all of it, right? There's edge everywhere. There's edge. You could be someone who just watches sports 24/7 and is not a numbers guy whatsoever and still find like an edge in spots because you know things, and you can, and vice versa. So I don't know. And Hoop is like embodies all of that. He knows about sports, and he's obviously got some good process. He's been crushing for as long. I mean, I've looked up to him for as long as I've been in the industry. So
I don't think there's been anyone as consistent since 2014 than him.
Yeah, he's been playing big money for a while now too.
I remember being at a live final, and one of the DK reps was like, he's the most blocked player that there is in head-to-heads and cash games. And now he's doing it over in GPPs. Like, well, he was always doing it in GPPs, but like, take down a milli, it's something else.
Yeah, well, he recently just started MMEing, like the past year and a half. He hadn't been doing that before. He had just been playing more like, single, like one lineup type stuff and putting in everything. Which again, like he's still playing a lot. You know what I mean? Like again, putting his money where his mouth is. So yeah, I mean,
so shout out to him. Awesome. I sent him a DM saying like I didn't want clout chase like everybody else on Twitter. Like, oh, besides you guys, like you guys should do that. But like all the other people that come from out of nowhere, like congratulations, my best friend Hoop. I just let him know, like, man, that's the moment right there. That's what every one of us dreams of right there. Bobby's he's already experienced it, luckily, and hopefully he'll get to again. This week. All right, yeah, let's do it. So I'm feeling better. Like there's no UFC tomorrow, so I'm gonna be all over it. Like I'm gonna be ready.
Kirkwood's locked in on this slate.
I'm not gonna locked in. I'm gonna have no excuses.
I'll invite you on my secret Zoom tomorrow night, Kirky. Come on.
Zoom? I don't. Why Zoom? What do I gotta look at you?
You gotta. Yeah, we talk game. There's a bunch of us on there. You'll know the guy.
Who's on there?
It's like me, Tambo, Kyle. You know Kyle Dvorak?
No.
There's a couple others. Snyder's on there.
Tambo's my boy. Snyder's my boy.
What about Mangone? Can we get you on Mangone?
Snyder's the man. I love Snyder.
There's nothing better than Snyder soldiers. Those videos, I love it.
He's good though.
I always shoot.
That guy knows his golf too. Respect. I love Snyder.
All right, let's go. Let's get down to this slate. Let's do what we always do. Started off at running back position, talk about some of the chalk plays, and then some of our pivots and whatnot. Headed over to QB, which then leads to wide receiver for our stacks. We'll close it out with tight ends. Although actually, no, we close it out with the Bobby Gomes defensive segment. And JSU is now gonna. I guess I hope you're ready for this. You were ready. You had one last week.
You lost last week. That's what you have to remember about last week.
I lost? How did I lose? What do you mean I
my
lost?
Defense 5X and yours 3X.
Wow, how many points did the Seahawks have?
They scored a touchdown.
Yeah, but that was it. I was bitching at halftime. I said I'm buried because this Seattle defense couldn't stop Head Chopper or something like that.
Kirky was so pissed because he played the worst defense. And did they still get there? What did they?
I think they got like 7 points. What did they finish with?
7 points. Yeah, they were 2,300. Dallas got 10.
Oh, JSU wins.
No,
that's how I look at
3,300.
That's how I look at it, Kirkwood. I look at it like I won too. 10-7.
JSU win. That's the winners win. JSU won. All right, running backs. No, so it's kind of crazy to me this week, right? Like there's no like extremely like must plays here. Like last week was crazy. We had some massive chalk. So this week it's all kind of spread out, it seems like to me. Differencing of opinions. Some places have Jeff Wilson to be extremely high owned. Some places don't. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. But I mean, I get it with him. He's cheap, right? It's a usage thing. I mean, he's in his last 2 weeks, 73%, 66% of the snaps for the league's fourth most run-heavy offense in the league. Carolina has actually been getting gashed by rushing. They've given up the 7th most rushing yards per game. The problem with Jeff Wilson is he doesn't really catch passes. There's also Debo there that takes away from him. I mean, you look at like his last 3 weeks, great. He scored 12, 12, and 13 fantasy points. That doesn't seem like a great tournament play to me for upside. He could always break one, but, Carolina overall is a pretty decent defense. So we'll talk about that one. Lenny Fournette is coming in extremely popular. Now this is what's crazy to me. So I need you guys to straighten me out on this one. So I get it. He's 6,900, which is, he hasn't really done anything yet. I mean, he's had 2 18-point fantasy games. That's good, I guess. One of them was last week where he had -3 yards rushing, right? He did get there receiving. But the problem is that, okay, that was against Kansas City in a game where they were like in comeback mode the entire time. This is completely opposite where they should be favorites against Atlanta. So, yeah, maybe he will get more rushing yards, but some of his passing yards should be taken away. Plus, the Tampa passing offense is getting healthier, right? Like Godwin is back. He was there like 83% of the snaps or whatever it was, running routes like every single play. Julio didn't manage to make it through with a limited snap share, so he should pick up even more snaps this week. So they're getting healthier. Mike Evans dominated last week, but also it's who he lost all snaps to. Like it basically, Rashad White had massive involvement in that game. Granted, they were like kind of far behind when they did kind of like roll him out. But he looked good. He played well. So I'm certainly worried about them potentially heading towards some kind of a running back committee. I don't know if you guys are or not, but if he's chalk and there's those kind of doubts hanging over him, that seems like a fade to me. But I'll let you guys speak on that one. Then there's Kamara. Winston's gone. He should be healthy. He's 6,600, which is his lowest price since like week 9 of 2017. I read, the Seattle is a bad defense, 19th in DVOA versus the run. They allow the 4th most fantasy points to running back, allowing 5.5 receptions per game to running backs. So if Kamara gets a full workload and he's healthy, which all indications are that he is, and I don't see Andy Dalton doing a ton of work in this game, then Kamara could be that high upside guy. I like that. Dalvin, right? Like if Dalvin stays healthy, gets through this game, this could be a smash spot for Dalvin against Chicago there. And then we've got like some other plays we'll get to, but what do you guys think about those plays, and who, or am I wrong? Like who do you guys think will be the chalk this week?
I mean, I don't see how Jeff Wilson is 25% owned, but if he is, I definitely not playing him. Like, there's no way you can get me to play 25% owned Jeff Wilson or 20 or whatever he is. Like you said,
well, he's going to be Jacob, so then he's going to score like 30.
That's the thing. But you also have Debo is also a running back there, right? You also have the fact that Debo can easily steal, or leverage him, obviously and score.
Dude, I'm team Debo every game. Every game.
So I think if you're worried about fading Jeff Wilson, like you think they're going to score points, you think they're going to get him on the ground, play Debo. Just instead of playing Jeff Wilson, play Debo. I know there's a price difference, but you want someone to kind of take away from Jeff Wilson. And that guy to me is clearly Debo Samuel. Maybe you want to go to George Kittle, who's another like leverage play, I guess, at tight end, who was terrible last week, but do they need him to block as much this week? Who knows? So maybe you play.
But you want to know the thing about him? He wasn't actually blocking last week. So he was actually out there for all the routes. So it was like a good sign in the right direction. And he's getting coach speak too. So like
he made one of the most important blocks, I think, on that Debo play, didn't he? He's an insane blocker. There's a reason why he blocks though a lot. Like
for
he's
sure.
really good at
The
it.
blocks
The
downfield in that play were insane too.
They were insane.
Debo just juked Ramsey. It was
Ramsey was just
he
awful.
did, but
Is he getting
his
beat every
team is
week?
good.
Every time he plays, like I feel like he's getting burned or he's
I don't know.
missing
Debo is a
tackles.
grown ass man is the way I look at that. But
What'd you say?
I'm with you. Debo is. Yeah,
he's
I
nasty.
love Debo. But so the point with these running backs, Leonard Fournette, 60-40 almost, 37.5% for Rachaad White. Like, to me, even in a game where they're trailing against the Chiefs, they're giving Rachaad White 37.5% of the work. That tells me that they're kind of looking at it from a long-term perspective with Leonard Fournette. Okay, we're going to get to the playoffs. We don't need to run him into the ground now. We need him for week 16, 17, 18. We need him for the playoffs, right? We're not going to run him into the ground. This kid, White, he's capable. And we saw it, right? He is capable. He can catch passes. He can do what Brady wants him to do or needs him to do to keep them in the game. And against Atlanta, what if they're up, right? So then the question becomes, if they get up, does the snap percentage go down even further for Lenny? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it does feel like to me, they are going to be more kind of on the cautious side of we can't run our guys into the ground, especially Leonard Fournette. We need to make sure he's there come playoff time. And so I'm going to fade Lenny for sure. I don't mind. Again, play the passing game, right? Play the passing route. Or even play White. I mean, you could play White in Millie Maker formats. Like, you could definitely play him and hope maybe he steals, a touchdown from Lenny or something like that. We saw it last week. It could easily happen again. And, I just think there are so many other paths you can go. I'm definitely fading Jeff Wilson. I'm definitely fading Lenny. I like spending down at running back because I want to play these wide receiver studs. But at the same time, I'm not playing 20-something% Leonard Fournette or Jeff Wilson with the circumstances that Lenny's in, with the split being kind of more of a risk factor for him and White, and then Jeff Wilson being Jeff Wilson. Like, this isn't a showdown slate. I want upside. Jeff Wilson, if Jeff Wilson gets me 18, I feel like he's close to his ceiling right there, like 18 to 20. So, like, him getting 15 or 12, fine, have it. I'll play Breece Hall, who can get me friggin' 25. I think has a massive ceiling, and his role is growing at a similar price. I'll play Ramondre Stevenson, who's in a great matchup, and his role is growing. Right? I'm going to play these type of guys. So, I'll let people hopefully play him. I hope he's 20-something% because in tournaments, I'm definitely fading.
Is there an easier bet than the Pats this week? I don't care if it's
I love
Zappy.
the Pats running game. I love the Pats running game.
All they have to do is just feed Harris and Ramondre all game, and they should.
What stinks for DFS Kirkwood is, we all know when we play one of these guys, like there's still two. No, but there's still two guys. Like, it's not like it's one and the other. Like, Damian Harris could easily steal the touchdowns. Like, that's the sucky thing.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm saying I'm just going to drive to New Hampshire and hammer the Pats tomorrow with Goff in his first outdoor game.
Why don't we do that tonight after the show, Kirkwood?
Take the under in that game, Kirkwood.
Because we don't drink and drive, Bobby.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Come on, Bobby, you're better than that. You should.
I didn't even think of that. I forgot we were boozing.
What do you Ramondre or Harris are going to crush, but what are you thinking, Bobby?
Yeah, I think JSU did a really good job of breaking down the outs for Jeff Wilson. I do think Jeff Wilson has a ceiling game. I just don't know if it's really this week, and there are guys in that range that you can kind of fade him with. Lenny and Rachaad White, I think, is very interesting because I think Rachaad White played as much as he did because in that trailing game script, I don't know if I think they've been looking for a back to kind of in Rachaad White's kind of like elk that can basically catch the ball in space. Like, obviously Lenny's been used in that situation, but Lenny's kind of like a bigger guy. Like, I feel like they would much rather like a scat back type to kind of be the guy catching passes.
The problem is that White looked good, right? Like, so how do they not at least, increase him a little bit, going forward?
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think the game script for it might not be the best situation to play him. I also think Godwin, the one thing I will say, like, I feel like the game script would be more of a Lenny game. But the other issue is Godwin is going to eat up a lot of those like short chunk passes. So maybe that takes away from Lenny's ceiling. I don't hate Lenny. Like, I think I'd much rather fade Jeff Wilson. Two guys that I'd have interest in, like, as off the board plays, James Robinson going against the Houston Texans defense that's like third in the league, giving up fantasy points to running backs through the first 5 weeks. And also CMC got to get going on the other side of that San Fran game, right? Like, eventually CMC is going to have a breakout game. He's 8-5. If there are outs for Lenny, like if Rachaad White does get run, if Godwin does catch it, like, be as involved as he was last week, maybe the ceiling isn't there. And we all know the ceiling that CMC has. So I don't mind paying up to 8-5 when a lot of people are going in other directions.
I didn't even talk about. I forgot to mention how I always start the show with the blitz most plays, and I can't believe
the Carolina runs 50. I know they run a very low amount of plays. I know.
No, I'm just saying I can't believe I forgot that, because I'm looking at one game and I'm looking at one back that we haven't even mentioned yet, but he should be a no-brainer. Dameon Pierce. Against the Jags on the other side. I know you just mentioned the James Robinson, but I mean, Pierce looked freaking ridiculous last week.
I think Pierce is gonna be pretty chalky.
I think he'll get some ownership for sure. And on top of it, I'm with Bob. Like, I would play the Jacksonville running back, like James Robinson, or even Travis Etienne. I like him, but I would play James Robinson over Pierce. I think you're paying also, like, I don't want to say I think his price tag at 6,200 is a fair price tag, but I think you missed the boat on him the last couple weeks. Right. We talked him up the last couple weeks. Like, we were on Pierce at the beginning when he was like 5,200, 5,500. Now he's at 6,200. He's hanging out. Like, that's the price range where I'm going to start to get out and say, okay, I got him when he was cheap. I got him in good matchups. I'm going to stay away from him now. He has looked good. I don't disagree with you. It's just he's going to get ownership. He's at a higher price tag now. My question is Alvin Kamara. He's the one I have the hardest. I'm not struggling with these other running backs that are chalk, like, that I want to fade. Like, I'll fade these guys. Alvin Kamara is the hardest one for me, because I told myself before the year started, I'm just going to play running backs against Seattle all year. I'm not going to not play running backs against Seattle. They're going to be bad all year. Just in general, defensively, they're going to be bad. I think it's a good spot, but, man, I don't like how he's looked. He's coming off injury. How do they use him, right? Like, is he going to be like the workhorse? I don't think so. They like Mark Ingram. So what are we doing with Ingram?
Dude, how can you Mark Ingram? I'm going to play him personally, but I just want to make one last point about with Pierce, not only has he looked ridiculous, I think he's just really good and going to be good, but we just watched Miles Sanders just absolutely nuke this Jags run D. So I'm definitely still interested. But with Kamara, I'm playing him. Like I said, this is the lowest price ever since 2017, week 9. Reports are that he's actually healthy. So, I mean, Ingram is so old and dusty that and then this whole squad is kind of dust. I mean, I don't really feel good about their quarterback play for sure, but Andy Dalton, but you got to figure that Kamara would be the offensive option, but I don't know. But going down with a 6,600 Alvin Kamara for chasing that upside, it's not bad no matter, you know what I mean? Like,
if I
lose,
his upside was a lot of times he got the passing game mix with the running game, or he has multiple rushing touchdowns. That's where we always saw that, like, upside was like,
but
he would
Dalton
get the
check down.
passing
Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton's gonna. It's not Jameis.
Dalton
right?
will check down. That is the good thing. Dalton will check down. I just don't know if he gets the volume off that injury.
But Mike
I think
Thomas
he's the
is
chalk
out too,
back.
right?
I think he's the chalk back though. I would most be comfortable with if I have to pick one.
Is Mike Thomas out? I think Mike Thomas is also out. So there's.
I mean, if Jameis is out, he's probably out.
Michael Thomas is out.
Michael Thomas is out, so there is room for now. You have the new quarterback who likes to check down in Dalton, and you're taking away the target share of Thomas. So I feel like Kamara's probably
at home in the dome.
At home.
Like if I lose because of Kamara, okay, so be it. Like this play seems so much better to me than all the others.
I think that too. Now that like I think about it, and now we know Thomas is out, and obviously Dalton's starting. I think Kamara is a very good play.
Yeah, I think Kirkwood said it best. I think out of all the chalk pieces, I think he's the one I would be most comfortable with if I was playing anyone. It would be him. I
mean, then there's I mean, you could play like Devin Singletary kind of in that range.
Eckler, they don't want to play anyone else. They want to play Devin Singletary.
Yeah, they
like
definitely
he fumbled. They gave Zach Moss a chance. Then James Cook came in for a few plays, but then Singletary was right back in there. They definitely trust him the most. I just think if it's the Steelers and they get up big early, it could be a spot where Singletary loses some work just because they're up and they don't want to run him to the ground. But if you think that game's close in any way, you think Pittsburgh can hang in, I definitely think Singletary's a great play.
This could also be the Mostert game, 5K against the Jets. We haven't talked about Montgomery's probably going to be out again, I think, right? Let me double check.
I would think so, right?
Yeah, let me just double check. Questionable. Wow, it looks like he might be he's on the optimistic side of questionable.
All right, so I swear that injury looked so much worse than it is if he comes back after just a week, pretty much. That he's a tough dude. I remember him doing this either last year or the year before. He did this where I thought like his season was over, and then it looked like it on the field, and then he came back after a week. Like that dude's a tough man.
Tough dude.
He is.
All right, there's I mean, let's go through the list. Austin Eckler, I mean, finally had his massive breakout game against the Texans, which we kind of saw coming. Now gets Cleveland. There's that way. There's also the other side of this game, the Cleveland backs. There's Chubb and there's Hunt. I don't know. Any interest there for you guys?
I don't know, Bobby. Are you spending?
I think you can make a case. What'd you say?
Are you spending up at running back?
I don't know. Like I honestly, like I like CMC, but I do think paying down like these Pats backs and then James Robinson isn't the worst idea. Nick Chubb though versus Chargers like front, I could see that being pretty interesting.
I think he's the guy that like for tournaments he's gonna be low owned. He's always low owned, and no one wants to pay $8K. I mean, on FanDuel his price tag is outrageous. It's like $9,400 or something like that. Like no one's playing this dude, and he could easily run all over the Chargers. I think if I'm spending up, it's him.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. I mean,
he's got at least 20 touches in every game. Certainly a good matchup for him in a game there where Thorman over at ETR likes this game to play up and pace the Chargers at the Browns. So, this could be a good spot for him. I think this is a great spot to play Nick Chubb. You know, I don't think he's going to get owned. What's his ownership? What are you guys seeing for projected owner? I'm seeing like 5%.
Under 5%.
Yeah, under 5%.
Yeah, they're
I just
at
don't
home.
know how people can stomach that price tag.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when he doesn't get much passing game work.
That's what I mean. And like 9,400 on FanDuel.
But I'll take his 32 fantasy points that he put up against the Jets.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course you would take that.
Three tutties.
If you told me getting 25 plus, I'm playing him here on this slate. Like, definitely for sure.
I mean, the upside is there for sure if he breaks off a couple of those. I mean, it's always the play. Like, he's not the math play ever because he doesn't get the passing game work, but he's a football guy play, right? Like, he's a guy who can break an 80-yard touchdown run and smash a slate. He's another Derrick Henry. I mean, that's what it is.
But the difference between him and Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry gets all of the valuable touches in and around the goal line. Nick Chubb does all this production, and he doesn't get all the valuable touches think of how crazy that is. Like, he could have such a better year if there wasn't for that. Like, if he was in a Derrick Henry role, he could literally be the best running back in football fantasy wise. Like, that's how good of a running back he is, that he doesn't get that, and he still is one of the top guys. Like,
but that's
I think
why
he's the best runner in all of football. But
and that's why we get a 32-point fantasy point upside for under 5%. You know what I mean? Like, if we get the right game out of him, he smashes, and nobody has him, and it's like, of course I played some Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I'm not playing any of these other top tier running backs. I'm sold. It's just Nick Chubb for me.
Bobby, give your McCaffrey pitch.
I just think he's going to get it going. I like the Chubb call, though, and Kamara. Like, those were guys. McCaffrey was the first one I gravitated to just because, I don't know, like, when's CMC going to be CMC? I feel like they need to get a win. They're playing San Fran. No one's going to play him versus San Fran on the island game. San Fran's D looked great the other night versus the run, but it's CMC, and if he is involved in the passing game and if he has that breakout game, if there's anyone that can do it for San Francisco, it's CMC. So,
but Baker Mayfield just sucks.
He's so bad though. Yeah, it's tough swallowing, like, the fact that he's.
I mean, he just brings everyone down. It's just like,
I don't know why he's still the starter there. Like, it's another, coaches are way too lenient with letting these guys have the leash that they have.
All right, we got any more plays? Anyone out there that kind of?
I mean, I definitely like the running backs in the Miami Jets game. I think Breece Hall on one side is a really good play, and all of his work is going up. All the valuable touches he's getting in and around the goal line pretty much. I think that's going to just keep continuing upwards. I don't know if he's going to get more work, but he outsnaps, I think, 65 to like 40-ish for Michael Carter. So he's clearly becoming the number one guy. And I like that game. I like that game for points. Like, I hate Zach Wilson, but I just think there's points in that game. I think Teddy Bridgewater, as long as his weapons are there, like, obviously I'm assuming that Tyreek Hill and or Waddle do play, but if his weapons are there, I do think there's points in this game, and I do think we can play some of these, like, guys like Breece Hall. I'm not saying you got to play Teddy or you got to play Zach Wilson. I'm just saying, like, I think some of these guys like Breece Hall, Tyreek, maybe Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore, someone like that. I think they're in play with these two defenses and teams. I just see points.
If Tyreek is out, and I don't like the coach speak already because they basically said they're not giving the Jets any advantage to information of whether Tyreek's gonna play or not. Is Waddle just an absolute smash, or vice versa? If Waddle's out, is Hill an absolute smash, or does it kind of hurt them big? You could just key in on them.
I think Jets secondary is very bad.
I think they're tough to key in on too. Like, the offense is just designed to get them the football in space.
And throw Chase Edmonds out there. Throw Chase Edmonds out there. There's another option for them that makes it tougher.
It honestly though, Kirkwood, it does feel like one of these guys might sit.
I think Tyreek's the way that they're talking, it made me think that Tyreek is going to be out.
JSU, do you think it'll be Michael Carter if they're trailing instead of Breece? I don't know. I haven't watched that. I'm just wondering.
No, I think it's Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is the guy. I think he's going to get all of the especially the valuable touches, the touches in and around the goal line. I think he's the dude. He's going to be the one they want. Michael Carter is good. I think Breece Hall is just better, and I think they want him to be the guy.
All right. Are we good at running back?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on over to QB. So, like I said earlier, to start the show, QB, we don't have Lamar, we don't have Mahomes. We do have Josh Allen for 8,200. Problem is, he's a 14. I mean, it's they should put up points. He should, have his way whenever he's out on the field. It's just how much do they have their foot on the gas in this one as 14-point favorites at home. We also have Jalen Hurts for 8,100 at Arizona. I like this game. Arizona 28 DVOA versus the pass. I just have a feeling that Arizona is going to play better in this spot this week. I think another week with just getting a little healthier, having somewhat of their weapons back. I don't know. I'm waiting for Kyler to do something. Maybe, and I'm sick of the short shaming. Quite frankly, there's a lot of short shamers out there that love to pile on Kyler, so I'm rooting for him. But other than that, Tom Brady is super cheap against Atlanta at 6K. 17th DVOA versus the pass. Atlanta uses a lot of zone. Brady has always picked apart zones. It's just the perfect D for him. Their weapons, full complement of weapons now with Godwin back and Julio back, getting healthier. So Evans looked great. So, it should be all systems go here for Tom Brady. They did have a large increase in pass rate over expectation in their last week, and that just makes sense with the weapons that they have, right? He's been trying to do it with Rashad Perriman and an injured Russell Gage. It's now they finally have some weapons at his disposal. Plus, like we said, White's looked good as a passing back, and he's always used Lenny in the passing game. So I think it makes a lot of sense for 6K and getting that savings. Now, other than that, then it gets a little dicey. We got a bunch of options. We got Trevor Lawrence, who I think is going to have an absolute bounce back game this week. I think it was just an awful game last week in the terrible conditions, weather conditions and whatnot. But I like this Jags Houston game. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one. And I think he's definitely bouncing back here. Then there's I've seen some people are giving Teddy Bridgewater love. I know the Blitz is giving Geno Smith love. Andy Dalton is getting some people are talking about. I don't know. There's just a bunch of names here. What are you guys thinking at QB?
Yeah, you hit on Lawrence. I think Lawrence is in a great spot to bounce back. Christian Kirk, I like that stack a ton. One of the big things about this slate is the game stacking. I don't think there's a lot of opportunity to really game stack. I think a lot of people are going to game stack. That being said, Tom Brady, I don't want to run him back, his stacks back with a Drake London. I think that's going to be super popular. Not that I don't think it's bad, but I think I'd rather just play a secondary of Godwin and London, or play I don't know, just differentiate it. And if I do play Tom, I'm not just I wouldn't be playing one of those Falcons on the run back. At quarterback, Josh Allen versus Pittsburgh, I think he's in a you wonder how that's going to be kind of attacked. I feel like they're such strong favorites that I don't know. He might not be able to hit that ceiling. So I don't know. You hit on Kyler, and the issue with that game is two running quarterbacks. It's tough to stack up that situation, but playing the Kyler side and then having AJ Brown as the run back isn't the worst play, right? You play Kyler and Ertz or Kyler and Rondale. Rondale's seen an uptick in his
or Hollywood.
Or Hollywood, yeah, for that matter. And then have AJ Brown as the guy that you're bringing it back with. I don't hate that stack. So that's basically what I'm looking at for quarterback is that game and the Trevor Lawrence game.
That reminded me of something. JSU, do you think we ran so bad with our Najee Harris last week I knew we were dead once Pickett came in? I mean, the whole point about playing Najee was that he was going to fall into the end zone, right? And
I think too, one of the things that we have to look at is even before Kenny Pickett came in.
Oh, he sucked.
God, he was terrible. And
let me tell you guys something about Najee Harris.
No, we did say that.
I've been doing a lot of research on
we
this.
both said I hate Najee Harris before I made the announcement that I was going to play Najee Harris. I hate him. I think he's terrible. But the whole point was I'm positive he's going to fall into the end zone.
See, I don't think
multiple
he's
times.
terrible. I think the offensive line is just terrible. How many times did we see Najee get behind like a pulling guard in the middle and literally just get stopped, and he ends up pushing the guy like to try and get out of his way so he can hit a hole, and there's just nothing because the guy's in his way. Like, it happens so many times. The line just gets no movement. They just literally, there's nothing for Najee. I don't think it's Najee's like not talented. I think it's more just the offensive line play is bad. Then obviously Kenny Pickett steals the 2 touchdowns towards the goal line. And so that right there is dead. I think we just have to accept the L. Najee was a bad play. Did we run bad? Okay, we lost a 1-yard touchdown. Even if he gets one of those, he's still not a good play at his price tag. Not in tournaments.
I've been doing a lot of research on Najee, big deep dive, and what I've come up with is he sucks. So don't play Najee. No, I don't. Matt Wiley, friend of the show.
The offensive line sucks, Bobby. Come on.
Matt Wiley, friend of the show. Whenever we talk plays or whatever, and he thinks one's like kind of outlandish, he'll send him. I've been doing this big deep dive, and then he blurs out the word, and he's like, he sucks, like via text. It's funny.
So you stole something from your friend. So you just stole something from your friend and then admitted it on the show. Come on, Bob.
It's good content, right?
It is good content. I will say that, but it's not your content. You gotta come with your own spin, Bob. That's the key. You gotta have your own spin off on it, right?
I know. I couldn't do it on the show because I can't like show via text. Like, let me tell you guys something about Najee and send like the message blurred. So you guys can read it, and then it says he sucks.
You got to do it.
All
right. Then you got to, if you're going to copy it, you got to own it and act like it's yours. You know
exactly. I mean? And then you can give him a
I
shout
gave him
out
the credit.
I
gave him the credit.
You know what? It's tough enough.
It's a good
to make line. Are you guys? Anyone going down to this poker cheating? Anyone see the poker cheating stuff on Twitter or whatever?
I can't even comment on it. I don't know enough.
I think one of the catalysts for why that blew up is because of the chess cheating, where the guy was using like anal beads and stuff. Did you guys hear about that? That's been like a big story.
What do you think, Kirkwood? Was it cheating for sure?
I thought so. I was in the camp of no cheating. That, but now I don't know. It's just so crazy. I don't know what to think, and I can't keep up with it. There's just too much going on.
So you're in the camp of just like not sharp. Like
my initial reaction was just like, this is not cheating. It's like she's a rich girl. She probably misread her hand, or she wanted to muck, but I didn't know all the background information and stuff. And I didn't spend, hours and hours every day watching Joe Ingram pods and
I was gonna say
Doug
some dudes
Pope
are
pods.
going real deep into this.
They're all day. They don't stop talking about it. Yeah, it's crazy, but we'll see. It's kind of crazy now today. As of today, there's been a lot of stuff. But I said, I got a crime
quarterback. Back to quarterback, because this show will go 2 hours if you go down a poker rabbit hole that we cannot handle right now. So for a quarterback, I got 2 disagreements with Kirkwood, but I'll start with, before I get to the quarterback, I don't like the Arizona game. You like the Arizona game? I am totally against. This game is going to be popular. I don't like it. I don't like Pete's. I like the Philadelphia side. I think this game ends 30-10. I think Kyler gets smacked around by one of the best defenses in football in the Eagles. And I think the Cardinals are just bad. And I think, the fact that this game is going to be popular, I'm very happy that it's going to be popular.
Let me counter
a lot
that.
of high totals, and everyone's gravitating to this game. And I think the totals come down a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. And I think the Eagles just win 30-10. It's going to be as simple as that. You can play an Eagle if you want, but I don't like this game for fantasy. I'm not full game stacking it like Bobby was talking about, how people are wanting to after seeing the winners of the last couple of weeks. I'm definitely not on this game. I don't know if Bobby has a
30 points from the Eagles, then you probably want at least an Eagle somewhere.
I think I could say what I get.
Yeah, but I don't want an Arizona. Yeah. I don't want Arizona.
Because Kyler could be that guy getting all the touchdowns on the Arizona side. Like, why would you run it back? Like, I feel like you'd stack Hurts and AJ Brown, fine, but you run into difficulties if it's pretty much Kyler getting all the touchdowns on the run back, so don't even bother running it back. If you do run it back, play the Kyler side and run back AJ Brown.
But the point, though, is like the game stacks that have went off recently, right? There's two that stick out. There's last week with Detroit, Seattle, and there was the Miami and Baltimore game, right? A few weeks ago. Those two
I'm an idiot. I kind of thought the Detroit game was going to bust. I kind of thought,
but my point is both sides went crazy, right? 30-10 is not a game where you're going to be like, damn, I needed both either side of this game. You know what I mean? Like that's not a game where you're like, damn it, I didn't play it. You're fine. You know, you don't need to play a Philadelphia guy on this massive slate just because they score 30 points. You can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it's not a must. My point is people are going to play this game, and I don't like it for fantasy. I think people think there's going to be a ton of scoring. I don't get it. I don't know why people are trusting the Cardinals against this really good defense and the Eagles. I know the total is one of the higher totals, but man, I don't see it. I'm just going to go with what I'm seeing on the field, and what I'm seeing is I think the Eagles just put it on them, and then they do what they've done recently, which is kind of just slow down in the second half. In multiple games this year, they've crushed teams in the first half and then hit the brakes in the second half and just coast. I think that's the game we see.
So my opinion, and I may be wrong, is I'm just looking for what I want to happen. So I look at Arizona, and I think they've struggled, and rightfully so. I think they're not as bad as people are piling on. I mean, you can't blame him. He's had no weapons whatsoever. So they haven't had the easiest schedule either. They played KC. They won, even though they did nothing in the first half. They came back and won in the second half against the Raiders. They played the Rams following that. They lost. They looked horrible. And they squeaked out a win 26 points against Carolina, where they showed some signs of improvement. You know, at least he had some weapons with Rondale back. You know, like I think he needs at least two competent receivers, and I think Hollywood and Rondale Moore give him that. I think Ertz is Ertz, whatever. At least, you know, maybe we'll get a little uptick with Ertz revenge in this one. And I think their defense is terrible. I think he's gonna have to start running, right? And what did he do last week? He ran for 12 attempts. He only got 26 yards. But he ran 12 attempts. So that's like huge for me for Kyler. Kyler wasn't running. He didn't run in the first three games. So could this game bust? And could it be 30-10 like you're saying? Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. But I also think it could end up shooting out. And it's in Arizona. You know, it's a game of Philly on the road. It could be kind of like, you know, Philly is a good defense, but they could let down. And Arizona could be coming into their own a little bit. So – and there's a lot of good pieces in this game. And I think Goddard is an awesome play for tight end. I think A.J. Brown is an awesome play. I just hope Kyler runs. And if Kyler starts running and gets this offense moving, then this game could be good. The games that shoot out, what's the most likely game for me in my head that's going to like shoot out and be like this Detroit game? I don't think any game will be like the Detroit game, but the closest thing that we have, I think it would probably be this Jacksonville-Houston game, in my opinion. I don't know what's like. What do you guys think? What would be your number one like game that would shoot out both sides?
I'm with you. I like the Jacksonville-Houston game. Like, I think that game's easier to stack up. Even with the Kyler side, like you still have to worry about Hurts scoring the touchdowns, not A.J. Brown or Goddard. I just feel like those guys have a better chance those ancillary weapons have a better chance to score than Kyler's ancillary weapons on the run if you were doing a Hurts run back. But I think you make a really good point, like going to Jacksonville side, Christian Kirk, and running back with Cooks, James Robinson's there. Like there's a Dameon Pierce. I think it's a very good game to attack. Not a full game stack, just like a stack and a run back pretty much.
If I had to pick a game, it stinks because I would have definitely picked the Miami game if I knew that guys were going to be in, like Tyreek and Waddle. Forget about Tua. I knew he wasn't going to play, but Tyreek and Waddle, if they were definitely in, I would probably say that game. But not knowing that, honestly, I think Pittsburgh, I don't think they win. I think they hang in with Buffalo. I think there's points. I think Kenny Pickett is going to be very aggressive. I think he's going to make some mistakes, but I think it's going to be similar to the dude is going to play from behind the entire game. So, yeah, he can throw 2 picks, 3 picks, whatever. He had 15 points. He played a half or something like that last game, and he had 15 fantasy points and threw 3 picks. He's going to play aggressive from behind all this game. I want that type of fantasy quarterback. I think the Steelers can actually hang around too. So I think that's the one that to me could end up being the highest scoring game. I know everyone thinks Buffalo is going to be the highest scoring side, but I don't think people think Pittsburgh is going to be able to score as much to keep this thing interesting. And honestly, I think they could. I think they could somewhat hang around.
If you play the Pickett side, the target share on the Bills is going to be extremely condensed because you're taking away Crowder. Knox isn't going to be there, so it's going to be Diggs, Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie. So there's good run backs there, obviously tied to Josh Allen too.
Isn't McKenzie banged up?
I think McKenzie's playing.
He is banged up. I don't know if he's going to play. I know he had the
Is he not playing?
Well, he had the concussion. He was in concussion protocol. I don't know what that – they have him listed as questionable. So.
Still working his way through, it said. Was a limited participant in practice Friday.
There's also a tight end now that Quentin Morris or whatever, when you take Knox out. I think he's
he's 2,600 or something like that because no Knox. So I think the Pittsburgh side's kind of easy too. Pickens, Freiermuth. I mean, Kenny Pickett's going to target Freiermuth. He was getting a lot of love. So was Pickens. I think, to me, those are the 2 clear options I want. I mean, Chase Claypool is a complete aftermath thought now. I don't even think about him when I'm thinking about Pittsburgh. He is so bad.
He's awful.
He just looks like he doesn't care on the field, playing. He literally looks like he just whatever. He's fine. For me, though, I think it's a simple stack. You play Pickett with either Pickens or Freiermuth or both, and you know that's that. It's a nice cheap stack. You can run it back with Diggs, Gabe Davis, whoever you want.
I like that call. I really like that call. I think also you're pretty much you're playing into a situation you played Deontay in that situation also. He fits the scoring. He busted last week I feel like Deontay was the cash game players. They all wanted to jam in Deontay Johnson last week.
And what's funny, Bob, is no one will want to play these guys this week, but I'm telling you, you can almost guarantee they're going to play from behind the entire time.
Yeah.
So what's that mean? It means there's going to be volume. Even if you don't want to play Pickett, right, there's going to be volume. I think Steelers are very much in play, and I don't think they're going to get as much love.
I'm in agreement with you. I like that call.
I'll give it a maybe.
I got to get my food. You guys keep talking.
I need to be persuaded. What do you got for food?
What'd you order? The munchies? You're the drunk munchies now?
What'd you order?
I haven't ate all day.
What'd you just tell us what you ordered?
I on Fridays is my cheat day. I got a buffalo chicken sub. It's my favorite. I get it from this from AJ's Pizza, which is 5 minutes down the road. I got a buffalo chicken sub and fries. It's my favorite time of the day.
Go get it.
Reggie just heard it.
Yeah, go get it.
Go get it. Sounds good. What are we doing, Kirky?
I might order Nick's.
I want to get Regina. Santapios.
Right. Yeah, I just had that.
You know what's a really good Santapios is the sausage
sausage garlic
sausage garlic. Yeah, very very good.
Yeah. All right. We'll just kill quarterback here. Any other plays you're considering? I mean, we didn't really talk about anyone else. There's Herbert in the Cleveland game. There's I don't know. I'm all set with Kirk Cousins, but
I feel like quarterback's very thin this week.
I would agree.
What are people going to try to play Bridgewater? Good luck.
Bob, that's my point though with Pickett. I think you can take chances I mean, Geno Smith's going to be. I don't like Geno Smith either. In this,
You got the
spot,
sub there? Is the sub there?
Can we see
No,
the
so
sub?
I
Can we give
put the
the sub a
food-
grade?
I just want to
You
look
wanna
at
give-
it. I just want to see what it looks like.
Can we give it a live grade? Take a bite out of it.
All right, after we
Do a
finish
sub review.
quarterback, can we finish quarterback and then I'll go?
You
to
at least
sub
got to
at
take
the
a
end?
bite while you got to take a bite while we're talking.
At the end of the show, we'll take a bite. We'll
All
take a nice bite.
All right, let's move on over to wide receiver, unless you guys got someone you really want to mention here. But the blitz is all over Geno Smith. Just letting that
I
be
can't.
known.
I can't do Geno.
The blitz was
Eddie-
all over Geno last
Eddie's a
week.
maybe.
They were all over
I
Geno last week.
I think Bob said Trevor Lawrence though. I think he makes some sense as a cheaper guy.
That's
I
my
like
play,
Lawrence.
buddy. That's
I
my
think
play.
Kirky likes him too.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
my
if I'm
guy.
gonna play him. I think
That's my
Pickett's
guy.
my guy. If I got to give
150
a
Trevor
random.
Lawrence teams for me.
All right, wide receiver. We got a bunch of plays here. We got one real top end play. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, 9,600.
We didn't talk about Stafford. I guess
All right,
we can
go.
talk about him now.
I gave you.
You
the
aren't
chance.
talking up Stafford right now.
I think you can play Stafford versus Dallas D. Why not? Stafford and Kupp. No one's going to play them.
because I like Dallas to win this game. That's why.
Yeah, Cooper Rush. Then play Cooper Rush. The CD. There's good plays in this game too.
Well, I don't
I'm just
know if they're
saying.
gonna. I don't know if there's gonna be a ton of points in this game, though, Bob. I don't know if I like the over either in this game. I think I like the under.
Where
in
is this? Is
game,
this a
but
dome game? It must be, right?
It's
Yes.
It's in LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Who's covering Cooper Kupp on Dallas? Oof.
It doesn't
Not
matter.
really.
It
Come on,
doesn't
dude.
matter who covers Cooper Kupp, but
San Francisco had linebackers covering him at some points last game. So I mean,
They were like triple
He-
teaming him.
he's gonna get his no matter what. It's just the way McVay designs plays. He gets the ball. Like he's gonna get the ball. It's just
all right. So if
they-
you have
they
the
only
luxury
trust
to
two
play
guys.
Cooper Kupp, play him. But it's going to be tough to get up there for me for a lot of lineups. But we got to talk about the Mr. Air Yards leader on the Saints.
You can't. He's not the same situation now with Dalton. Going to check down the whole game.
Michael
Landry.
Thomas is out,
I know. It's Landry's just going to eat up all
and it's
those.
also the greatest matchup.
Is
Seattle.
Is Landry in?
He's banged up. He. I think we're waiting on where. I think he's probably going to play, but he didn't do anything last week.
I mean, Chris Olave is probably their number one, though, right?
Yeah,
No matter what.
Olave is definitely their number one. That's what I'm saying. So he's 9 targets per game, 190 and a half air yards per game, 1 red zone target per game. Michael Thomas is out. It depends. You know, you got to put your faith in Andy, the red rifle here.
I mean,
I
the
get
red
it.
rifle can get it done a little bit. Like he can still move the ball a little bit. Like I don't know. He was fine last game. I mean, like for fantasy, like he got Chris Olave the ball, didn't he?
I think it was Jameis. Wasn't it Jameis?
I thought Andy Dalton played last game.
Did he really?
My-
I don't know.
Now Bob's making me think. Yeah, he played the game in London. That was last week, right?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, that was that on the Saturday.
It
slate?
wasn't on the main
Sunday
slate. That's why
in the
you're so
morning?
messed up with it.
I have
It
no
was in
idea
the
what happened
morning.
in that game. If it wasn't on the main
Yeah.
slate, I have no idea.
That's why. Yeah. Olave was fine. He caught.
You think us fathers are getting up to watch the London game now? You know,
I
Kirk was
don't
gonna
know.
break
I mean,
them.
I played Showdown. I don't know.
we're
if you guys
dealing with
played Showdown.
blowies. We're wiping out blowies.
We're wiping asses and changing diapers all day.
All right, so Tyreek smash if he's healthy and plays. We don't know. Waddle, same thing. Vice versa if one of them's out. Yada yada yada. Christian Kirk, I love against Houston. I love this game to go off. The chalky guys are going to be Godwin probably against Atlanta. Atlanta 17th DVOA versus the pass. 83% snaps for Godwin last week. Had a 19% target share. That was his first game back. You know, and so to me, he's only 5,900. It's just like he's too cheap, right? Like I think we can all agree,
I mean, he
all
makes
agree on that.
Again though. Like I think you're gonna want a Brady receiver, especially if you're not playing Lenny, unless you don't see points in this game, or unless you see the Falcons winning or controlling the clock and you know controlling the line of scrimmage. Like if you see that, then I guess don't play some of these Tampa guys. But
You can play
everyone, right? Like
you can
if
play
I'm
a
fading
chalky.
Lenny, I need to play some of these wide receivers.
So you can play a chalky Godwin, or you can just take the alpha for 6,900, who's going to be less chalky because Godwin's eating up that, and Mike Evans, who gets all the red zone work.
Yeah, I love Mike Evans.
Call me crazy.
I'm not going to argue.
Call me crazy.
I think Atlanta's a pass funnel too, right? Like they're turning into that almost.
I mean, Brady's gonna chuck it. They can't run the football either. That's the other thing. I mean, how many rush attempts they have last game? Like 6. I know the game script went kind of away, but still.
Is this a redemption week for Brady? This might be a big redemption week for Brady, coming off the divorce.
I mean, everyone's probably saying that. Everyone's probably saying that. I would definitely play a Brady receiver, though. You like Evans, that's fine. I think at the end of the day, Evans is going to be, 12 to 15%, and I think Godwin's like 15 to 20. So, just pick the one you like the most and run with it. But I think they're both good plays, and, yeah.
Some other guys. So I think A.J. Brown is a really big, I know you don't like that game as much as I do, but A.J. Brown is doing so on Pro Football Focus for their wide receiver cornerback matchups. Brown has like the best matchup on the slate. Let me see his actually Diggs has the absolute best matchup on the slate. Then followed by A.J. Brown, then followed by Tyreek Hill. So those guys, I mean, obvious monster upside there. I mean, Diggs for sure, but it's tough to get up for the 8,400, but you can make it happen. 2 subpar performances after 2 monster games, has the matchup, and kind of like a condensed target tree here with some injuries here for Buffalo that Bobby mentioned before. Other than that, JSU said he doesn't want any part of – wait, was it you or Bobby that said you didn't want any part of Drake London? Bobby
did. I'm with Bobby, though. I'm probably not going to play Drake London.
I think you'd play him as if you play Godwin and Drake London. I just wouldn't make him your run back in Brady stacks.
I would play a cheap dude like a Tyler Algier if I was to play someone in Brady stacks or something like that. Like someone cheap who doesn't have to do a ton. Like I'm not going to spend up for a Falcon.
But like
especially the one that everyone's going to play.
But like 5,900 isn't bad for like a wide receiver one, especially with Pitts out.
No, it's not bad. I know that's naturally what everyone's route is going to be who plays Brady stacks. So I'm not going to do the same thing. And that's what Bob was talking about, where he's like, if I play Brady stacks, he might not even run it back with anyone because he knows that everyone is going to run it back with Drake London because everyone wants a run back. And I get that for tournaments. My point is I would probably want to run back, but I would go with the cheaper one that's still going to be pretty low owned. And I want to spend down at running back because I think wide receiver, I'm not going to go away from this, that I think wide receiver, there's just so many good plays. I mean, Justin Jefferson is projected under 10% on this slate. How do we not play Justin Jefferson at under 10% in tournaments? I don't know how.
These wideouts are super strong.
He has to be one of the best tournament plays.
He's always performed well as a favorite, as opposed to, and he's performed extremely poor as an underdog, which you would never. We would always think, right? Would he in the games that they're trailing? Oh, they would go to him more, but that's not the case. They just in games that they fully are in control of, they seem to use him a ton.
You know why, Kirkwood? Because they struggle when they can't get him the football. Hence, they're not up and they're losing, and that's why
that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're literally the Chicago Bears without Jefferson. And now they're playing.
Minnesota's bad. Don't get it twisted. I mean, Chicago is worse, but Minnesota is bad.
Minnesota's not good.
Another receiver that I think is interesting is Darnell Mooney. I like fast guy.
They don't throw the ball enough though. That's the thing.
But
they did last week.
My guy Big T made a very good point. I'm not going to play Justin Fields, but he made a very good point on our show we did, and it was the Bears have played in a lot of really bad weather situations in some of these games. A lot of these games actually. So when you take that away and you get in a better weather situation, which like now, I think he's going to throw more in those situations. And I also think Minnesota gets up on them. I think they're going to be able to score. And hence why I like Justin Jefferson I also think that means we can play a run back, and I want someone who can take the top off, somebody who's fast, because these cornerbacks are slow. They've been beat this year. Minnesota can be burned deep, and Darnell Mooney is like the perfect guy to do it. And maybe it's one of those things too where they just don't respect Justin Fields because they know they're not throwing the ball a ton, so they're almost like daring them to do it, daring them to let it go. And so they get more matchups, better spots where they can go one-on-one with guys like Mooney. So I think it's a good spot to take advantage for sure.
All right. I love Christian Kirk. So Kirk, the problem with last week is that Zay Jones was out and they took him out of the slot. Put him back in, Zay Jones back in. All systems go in this game that I expect to shoot out. And I think the easiest run back here is, well, Cooks for wide receiver. But I also like Pierce. I know you guys may not be as high on him, but it's going to be one of those two, right? Like in that game, if that game blows up.
Yeah, I mean, if that game blows up, it's going to probably be one of those two guys, or maybe both. I mean, it isn't an easy game stack, right? You kind of know what you want from Houston. If you think they're scoring points, you kind of know where to go. It's Pierce, it's Cooks, and then after that, it's your Jaguars guys. I mean, Christian Kirk, great
Kirk
option.
And Zay Jones or
Zay Jones, cheap. Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits easy. We just built it on the show right there.
It's the winner, baby. What else? CD Lamb love since you like Dallas.
I don't think I'm gonna play Dallas offense as much. I mean, I don't like I'm not gonna play it where it's like a high scoring game, but I guess you still could play CD. I personally have some of these other receivers ahead of them, but I don't have like an argument, I guess, like where you can't play them. I just have other guys ahead of them, but Bob,
there's a ton of low-owned guys.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
There's a ton of low-owned guys like in his range. Like AJ Brown showing like similar ownership to CD, which I don't think it will last by Sunday, but
not with that total being one of the higher totals. I don't think that'll last either. But again, AJ Brown, just as a standalone play, I think makes a lot of sense in tournaments at lower ownership. I think Devonta Smith on the other side makes a lot of good sense in tournaments. I mean, he can absolutely blow up. Dude has a massive ceiling, and we see it all the time, and it would take away from A.J. Brown, obviously. And if you just want a piece of Philly, maybe you think like me where Philly's going to score, Arizona's going to bust, but you want somebody from Philly, i.e. Miles Sanders from last week who exploded, right? Devonta Smith, no one's going to play him, right? I think he makes a lot of sense in tournaments. That mid-tier for wide receiver is very, very interesting because I think a lot of those guys are going to be lower owned outside of like Godwin and maybe I would assume Drake London probably gets some ownership too, right?
All right. PFF is showing Amon-Ra St. Brown actually with the second best matchup against the Pats here.
Is he playing?
Yeah, he's supposed to. He was back at practice today. Supposedly he's going to be playing.
Yeah,
what's his price tag? 7,600.
No ownership.
I mean, that's an easy run back with if you want to do like just a skinny one, whichever running back you pick on the Patriots.
Yeah, Ramondre and Amon-Ra.
Yep.
Yeah, I could get on board.
All right, throw out the last couple favorites because I'm already getting texts from the next room over saying, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet?"
I think you hit on a bunch. I think Kirk's a really good play. Brandon Cooks, I like as a run back. AJ Brown, those are wide receivers. I'm talking Jefferson. I'm glad you guys pointed out that Jefferson does it in games when they're favored because I probably wasn't going to play Jefferson, but now I'm definitely going to play Jefferson. Devonta Smith, I thought was a really good call by UJSU. Garrett Wilson in that Miami Jets game. I think I like Garrett Wilson a little bit.
Yeah, it's just I can't. So you look through with Zach Wilson, and he's like he spread it around last week with Crowder, with Elijah Moore. It's like
Corey Davis. He likes Corey Davis.
Corey Davis
too.
is his guy. Yeah. So it's like there's like literally like a 5 of them now, 5 spots
what
with
you're
like
saying.
Brees Hall. So I don't know. I want Garrett Wilson. Like that was my first thought too. And then I started looking in. I'm like, uh-oh.
I think Jets receivers, like if you have a strong take on one of them, maybe you MME and you get like a piece of like 2 of them. If you have like a strong feel on like 1 or 2 of them and you go with it, it's more like an MME play where like you're not playing one lineup because it is tough to decide between those 3. I agree with Bob. Like I think Garrett Wilson eventually will just be the guy.
He's a stud, dude.
Man, Zach Wilson does like Corey Davis. He does like Moore. We saw them both a little more involved. Like it's tough to just pick one if you have one lineup, right? And you want a Jets receiver.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Are we?
Right.
Is Gomes
I think
good
the
chalk,
one receiver,
obviously?
and yeah, he's going to be chalk.
He's going to be real.
I think him and
he's
Drake
good
London are going to both be very chalky because they're in the game that people want to stack, and they're both in that mid-tier price range for, you know, good players, obviously. So I think the one guy that he is projected right now for like 1%, we talked about him last week and dude went over 100 yards. George Pickens, Kenny Pickett loves him. They're going to be playing from behind. Dude's not going to be owned. He's still really cheap. I think he's a really good play in tournaments. I think he's a great run back. And
how many targets did he get last week?
Let me tell you.
He
I know he had over
targeted,
100 yards, but
yeah.
he definitely was targeted. Let's see here. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions for 102 yards. No touchdowns, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, he had a solid game. All right, let's move on over to tight end. We got to speed this thing up. We don't have the massive high-end guys. We don't have Andrews. We don't have Kelsey this week. So it's kind of funny. So the chalkiest guy is going to be Higbee, and he's earned it. He's 3rd in target share, 24% target share amongst tight ends. He's 1st in targets, 38 targets on the season. He's 3rd in targets per game. For tight ends, he's run the 3rd most routes of any tight end. And for Pro Football Focus, has him as the 5th best tight end matchup. And he's 4,300, which is fine. Dallas, I mean, he's clearly like the safety valve now, is what was obvious to me in their last game, right? Like it was Allen Robinson must just be dust. He has to be dust, right? He can't get any he couldn't get separation from head chopper, probably. No.
I mean, we can stop talking about Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
See, Kirkwood, you blame us, but man, I think you got to speed it up a little bit on your end. I think you're at fault.
I didn't blame you. I just said we got to move it on. I don't
know, Bobby. Did you feel like he was kind of blaming us?
I felt a little rushed. I will say.
Oh, you wanted more time on wide receiver?
No, tight end will be easy because I think tight end really is kind of simple on this slate. If you don't play Devonta Smith or AJ Brown, I think Dallas Goedert, like Kirkwood said, does make sense. He's still too cheap. Like 4,700 is still too cheap. I'm not going to play Tyler Higbee chalk, but that's just I don't want to play him. I get the play though. He gets the volume and everything like that. I'm just going to go elsewhere. I think you could stick in that game if you want to play, Dalton Schultz at 3,400. He's cheap. But I like Bobby's call with the Buffalo kid, Quentin Morris. I'm pretty sure is his name, Bobby.
I think that's his name. Quentin Morris. Sweeney's there too.
But 2,600, and it looks like he's the guy that they're a little more confident in and has been playing. And he's 2,600 in your Josh Allen stacks. He seems cheap. And then my boy Freiermuth. I'll just keep saying it, but I think Pat Freiermuth, I think he's going to get a healthy dose of targets in a trailing script, and I like some of these Steelers guys. I think they're good tournament plays at lower ownership, and get them while they're low, because I think at a certain point people are going to catch on that Kenny Pickett likes that tight end spot.
What about Njoku?
I can get on board with Njoku. I'd be fine with him. He's still cheap.
7th in target share among tight ends, had 2 massive games. It's a tough matchup. The Chargers look pretty good against the tight end.
He's just talented though, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's
he's
like
just talented.
like all of these guys are kind of the same. The thing I like about Goddard, so Arizona second worst in fantasy points allowed to tight end. Again, he leads the league with 13 yards after the catch. And like I said, he's got the fourth best matchup for tight ends as a Pro Football Focus. And then, I might play some Ertz too, just little Ertz. I'm a revenge guy, so I can't pass up a revenge spot. So I know he's dust, but just find him in the end zone. He gets the red zone targets, so I can go there. I don't know. Tight end just absolutely blows this week, kind of. It's the way I'm looking at it.
I like the Ertz.
I mean, I kind of like when tight end, there's none of the studs, because I always get I always want to play the studs, but then I don't end up having as much as I should. And then I like it when it's kind of like this, where 5,200, that's the highest, and everyone's kind of playing from the same price point. I kind of like it.
Should we talk about like Higbee being 25% plus owned, and if we're gonna actually?
I mean, I already talked about it. I'm not playing him just because I do think he gets that ownership from everyone seeing the volume that he's getting, and I just see a ton of other pivots. We just talked about a few of them.
Schultz seems like a really good pivot at 3-4 in that same game. I'd be interested in him. Hawkinson, people aren't going to play Hawkinson after having the 40-point week. My argument would just be like the Pats can't stop tight ends. Like, I don't mind. I didn't play Hawkinson last week. It didn't kill me that I didn't play him. So as crazy as that sounds, I don't mind playing him versus the Pats.
Pats 25th DVOA versus tight ends. They have allowed the most tight end touchdowns.
Yeah. I think Goddard's a good play. Freiermuth. Cade Otton for the Tampa Bay Bucks is going to be someone who people are going to go to in the same lens as Morris, they're both very cheap. He's 2,500. He's attached to Brady. I think these are all plays that you could consider. Kirky hit on Ertz. Nice little revenge there. That's pretty much it for me, though.
There's definitely some plays. Honestly, tight end isn't as bad as I thought it was as we start talking about it. I think there's
you mentioned Kittle in the beginning of the show, right? Is that you?
Yeah, you could play Kittle, I think. The problem with Kittle is I just don't trust Carolina to put up points, but Bob was talking about McCaffrey, and I think it makes sense for someone like Bob, if you're going to be heavy on McCaffrey, to play, Kittle, a Debo. Yeah, especially if you're not playing Jeff Wilson. Because you want points. You want McCaffrey to have to kind of come from behind and score. And look at what he's doing. A lot of fourth quarter points for McCaffrey. So you kind of want that type of script for him.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Let's close it out with the Bobby Gomes defensive segment of the show. Bobby, take it away.
Take it away. So I'm not as prepared on defense this week. I wasn't prepared last week either, but we got there. We got home versus JSU. I 5X'd and he 3X'd.
The cop-out answer. Do you hear this guy? I wasn't ready, Kirkwood, and then I still got it home over JSU, but he wasn't ready. So this dude, he friggin' tells the people that he didn't actually fully prepare, but then how he still got it done over JSU,
and yet he scored fantasy points than your squad. That's the crazy thing.
That's all I know. My team had 10. His team had 7. Winner. That's all I know.
Yours was 3,500 and mine was 2,300.
No, that's not what I'm seeing.
Whatever. I feel like the scale's being tilted. Gold posts are being widened. It seemed like it was me at the top, but now I'm starting to think it's JSU and Kirk. All right, Cowboys defense is going to be very chalky. JSU will probably pick them as his favorite defense, which I get if you want to play.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be very chalky.
I disagree with the chalky thing. I
think it's going to be pretty spread out this week.
What's the Cowboys?
The Rams still scare people.
I mean, I guess 2,500. Maybe they will be popular.
It's the price. They're going
to be like the cash.
They're going to
be the cash. They're going to be the cash game D for sure.
Bob might be right. They might be very popular.
They're going to be popular, man. Gomes going to be playing the Cowboys.
Are they going to be Bengals popular, Bob? Are they going to be Bengals popular though?
Cincinnati. What was Bengals popular?
What was it? 2 or 3 weeks ago when they played? It was Dallas. what was it? 3 weeks ago?
No, they're not going to be Bengals. They're not going to be Bengals popular. No.
Okay.
They're going to be
All right.
they're going to be the cash game defense. It looks like.
All right, here you go. Here's the defensive segment stolen from Establish the Run. The defensive line mismatches. The Bills have the greatest mismatch against the Steelers. Wow, it didn't take much to figure that one out, but they're 4,100. 49ers have the next greatest defensive matchup. They are playing the Panthers. How much are the 49ers? They're 3,800. Next would be Philly. I could see JSU playing some Philly because against Arizona, who 30-10. If you know the game's gonna be 30-10, then you should like that Eagles D. But 3,500 is the problem there, right?
I think that Kirkwood needs to stop stealing my defensive takes before I go because, yes, my defensive take is not the Cowboys, even though I do like the Cowboys at 2,500. I mean, what is DraftKings doing putting the Cowboys defense at 2,500? But the Eagles defense against Kyler Murray in his house, I like it. No one's going to play him. They're 3,500. On top of that, no one wants to spend up for this defense. But my God, has there been a better defense? I'm playing the Eagles at 3,500. Definitely. They're going to be one of my top defenses. I'm going to get leverage on that game, the way I think it plays out. And again, it's more just about how you see the game going. And if you don't see the game going the way I see it, you should not play them. But
I got to stop this immediately. I got to stop this immediately.
Stop it. You could stop it.
There are 3 of us who live in New England. Right? Mm-hmm. The Patriots are 2,900.
Their defense sucks, though.
Playing Jared Goff in his first game outside this season.
I do like the under in that game, so I'm not opposed to these defenses. I don't know.
I don't know about I'm so confused on defense. Maybe the
Bob, this was your segment.
Not as clear to me now.
Kirkwood just took over, and Kirkwood's gone. I don't know where.
No, I was trying to show my phone. It says, "Can you wrap it up, please?" It's Lauren.
I'm going Eagles D as well.
All right, that's our show. That's week 5. Oh, we got to give our top stacks for single entry. I'm going to start it off because we got to.
No. All right, you can start it off. Whatever.
Mine's going to be Trevor Lawrence going to Christian Kirk, coming back with Brandon Cooks. I may even make it a double and throw Zay Jones in there with him, and I can throw Pierce back if I wanted to, and just do a full game stack. But that's my single entry team this week. Now, Bobby or JSU, take it away for yours.
Bobby. JSU, you can take it away because Kirkwood stole mine. So.
Oh, okay, he stole yours. All right. Well, mine is going to be for Millie Makers, and I like Kenny Pickett for the Millie Maker. I think Kenny Pickett stacks for the Millie Maker is very interesting. You can stack them up with Pat Freiermuth and or George Pickens. Very simple, cheap stack. Get it in there, and then you can play Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, whoever you want with it. I really like that for tournaments. So that will be my one stack for GPPs. Bobby, wrap us up.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, no run back. As of right now.
Oh, Hollywood. You can do Hollywood.
No,
you can't.
Bobby,
you can do Rondell then. Or then do Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown in the Eagles defense. No run back. Come on,
Oh,
Bobby.
I can't put an Eagles D if I'm playing that stack.
You can do it.
All right, last for the show, JSU, grab that buffalo chicken sub. Let's take a bite. Let's take a peek at this bad boy.
We need a rating. You got to give it a score. New segment, JSU does his sub reviews.
I'm starving.
I don't know if you guys can.
I mean,
one bite, everyone knows the rules.
Yeah. Is this we're stealing that?
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Get it up. Get it up towards the camera. Up a little higher.
Oh, you guys see it?
Yeah, open it up a little. Open it up a little.
I like the shredded lettuce.
Shredded lettuce. Like what do you got? So did you just do blue cheese in there or?
And pickles, and no blue cheese, pickles,
ranch,
a little ranch, and shredded lettuce, buffalo chicken. No cheese. People know I'm not a cheese person, but
show us.
No cheese on a
open the half.
No
open
cheese.
The half.
Are you kidding me?
I'm trying my best. There's a lot of lettuce on this thing.
Take a bite.
Take a bite.
I like. All right, get us out. Wrap us up.
I feel like
on
Pirates of
this
the Caribbean when they're eating and he can't eat, and he's just like,
there it is. There she is.
there she is.
Now give a Ric Flair woo and let's call it a show.
What do we get for a grade?
And get us the fuck out of here.
All right, that's been the Week 5 RG Run Pure Sports collaboration show, Tournament Takes podcast, Week 5 edition. We'll catch you again next week for Week 6. Thank you.